Hello friends, and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. I hope everyone is doing well, and I'm so glad you've tuned back in for another week to see what we've had to eat around here. I hope that you will enjoy the variety that we have going on in this video. We had some really yummy stuff. I'm going to bring you along and show you everything that we had, and if you stay tuned to the end, I'm going to show you a recipe for a dessert that is so refreshing during the summer. It's good anytime, but especially during the summer, and it's called a strawberry pretzel dessert. You don't want to miss it. It's one that you might be able to make throughout these summer months that we're about to enter into. Alright, with all that being said, let's just jump on in, and we're going to start off this week with a recipe called chicken stroganoff. Let's get started. Well, we are going to start off this week of What's for Dinner with a recipe that I've been wanting to make ever since I saw it. I saw it on the channel called Home Sweet Stephanie, I believe it's called. I will link to it below. It is a chicken stroganoff recipe. So in my crock pot, I have 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. They are frozen. I have added in 1 quart of homemade beef broth. The recipe calls for mushroom stock, but I can never find that. So I have some homemade beef broth. That was her suggestion to use in case you can't find the mushroom. So I have a quart of that. If I need to add some more broth in, I have some more broth that I can add, but I did have 1 quart of the homemade beef broth. Then I've put some black pepper in. To that, I'm going to add this onion gravy and mushroom gravy packet, and I'm going to let that get started on high for a couple hours because my chicken is frozen. And then I'm going to add in some mushrooms and some onions and some other things I'm going to show you as we go along, but this is what we are doing to get this recipe started. I think it's going to be really tasty. So I'm going to pour in the gravies and pop on my lid. Alright, you can see the chicken has been cooking for a while. It's looking great, and I went ahead and put in my onions. Alright, my chicken is shredded, and I've now added in my mushrooms. I'm doing these more towards the end. I just don't want them to get super soft, I guess. So I'm putting them in, and then I'm going to put in my noodles here in maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll show you that as we get that going. Alright, and here we are. This is all finished. The noodles have cooked, and I have added in the heavy cream. Stirred it together and let it come back up to temperature, and I'm getting ready to plate it up. I really think this is going to be good. And here we are. It's all plated up. We have our chicken stroganoff looking amazing. Broccoli and mashed potatoes on the side. Can't wait to try this. Still hot and steamy, as you can see. I know it's going to be really good. And that's what's for dinner tonight. Yes, James is putting the new smoker to good use. Check out these ribs. They were so amazing. And I made a new side. It's sort of a baked potato, a half-baked potato. You just cut them in half. You put olive oil and coarse salt all over them. I put in a little garlic powder. You turn them down on the cut side and bake them for about 35 minutes or so. And they are so delicious. All right, this is the spare. No, this is the baby back. This is the spare. There's my potatoes, 1 plain, 1 with cheese and sour cream. And I like sweet pickles with barbecue. And we're eating out of our fine china tonight. And I know this is going to be amazing. I sneaked a piece. James and I both sneaked a taste of the pork already. Oh, so good. Sandwiches for dinner don't have to be boring. Take a look at these. These are the most amazing looking sub sandwiches, and better yet, they tasted so delicious. We had a lot of yummy ingredients on there, and this bread just made it over the top. So I'm going to show you how we put together these sub sandwiches at home for dinner. So we started with the beautiful buns. I showed you those. So on that, I have layered some pepper jack cheese. We've got some ham. We have some salami. On the other side of this beautiful bun, we have some Duke's mayonnaise. And then we're just going to continue layering on all the ingredients to make this taste so great. I saw these at the grocery. They were on the markdown rack, and they are a baguette, a brioche baguette. And so I knew that would make a delicious sandwich. So like I said, we got some salami and some ham. We also put on some lettuce, some red onion, jalapeno slices, some dill pickle chips. We said the mayonnaise already. We've got some mustard, and then a little bit of this light Olive Garden Italian dressing. These were amazing. We just served these with some chips alongside, and it was just a really refreshing dinner, and didn't take a whole lot of time to put together, and we loved it. We like a good sandwich around here. All right, and here is a look at another night's dinner. Every now and then you just want some party food, and life is too short to just not eat what you're hungry for. Really, what we wanted was this buffalo chicken dip, and I was thinking, what can I make to go with that to make it seem a little more like a dinner? So I decided to make these party meatballs. So let's get started on those first. I used this red raspberry jalapeno jam. I had just a little bit in the bottom of the jar, and I had a little bit of this fig fruit spread in the bottom of the jar. Back in the day, I used to watch Rachel Ray, and she had all sorts of bottom of the jar recipes. And so basically, to make the sauce for these little party meatballs is some sort of jelly, something sweet, and then you use a jar of chili sauce. And that makes the most delicious sort of sweet and sour sauce to go on these meatballs. It's also really good to put the little cocktail weenies in there. You can also put them together, so serve like the meatballs and the little weenies together. You can cook them all up in your crock pot. I've done that a lot of times, but tonight I'm just doing them here in the skillet. These bagged frozen meatballs are a really great thing to keep in your freezer for quick meals. They cook really quickly on the stovetop. You can also bake them in the oven. They don't take long at all. So it's a good thing to have in your freezer. It can make a pretty quick meal if you don't have time to put it in the crock pot to cook throughout the day. So now that I've got my sauce pretty decently incorporated, it'll continue to break down the jelly wheel as it cooks. I'm going to pour in about half a bag of these home-style meatballs. I just want to take a second here while we're cooking to say thanks for watching my videos, for every time you come and visit my channel. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, just hit that red subscribe button and just be a part of my YouTube community. I would appreciate that. Alright, and so I decided I wanted to finish these off in the oven. I had not started off in an oven-safe pan. So I just covered the handles with foil. That's a trick I learned years ago. And then that makes them oven-safe. So I just kind of wanted to put these under the broiler so they would get a little crisp on top. I wanted the sauce a little bit thicker, so I just decided to finish them off in the oven. It got a little brown around the edges, which that was just fine. The meatballs crisped up and they were just so perfect. And then what we were hungry for, here is the buffalo chicken dip. I just showed that recently here on my channel. I will link it below. It is so delicious. We're kind of on a kick of that right now. And I had already pre-cooked some chicken the day before for a recipe. I would have just went ahead and made some extra so I could make this dip. It is so good, served with tortilla chips or Ritz crackers. And then we have our meatballs on the side. Felt like we were at a party, but we were just here at home. It was delicious. All right, any recipe that starts with bacon has to be good. Am I right? So here we have our bacon in the pan frying up, and let me just give you a little preview of what we are making, and then we will jump right in to showing you how we did it. This is what we're making. These are a recipe that I made up on my own using these little flatbreads. So this is a chicken bacon ranch flatbread pizza. Yes, let's get into that they were so good. All right, and after I pulled my bacon from the pan, I'm letting that drain on a paper towel. I put the chicken right into the bacon grease. Yes, sprinkled it with salt and pepper, and I'm gonna let that brown up. I made up this recipe, so I don't have an exact measurement. I think I'm using about, I think it was one large boneless, skinless chicken breast that I just chunked up. So, I didn't know if that was going to be enough or not. I just knew I was going to have some chicken on these little flatbreads. So next, I'm going to add in with the chicken some red onion, and I'm going to let that fry up together just for some delicious caramelized onions on the flatbread pizza. I know that's going to taste really, really good. And now I'm going to put in some fresh garlic. And you can imagine by now the house is smelling amazing. All right, and after your chicken is cooked all the way through and it's gotten some color on the outside of it, you're just going to pull it out of the pan, kind of draining the grease off as you go. And you're going to put it in a bowl that you can mix your dry ranch dressing with this chicken while it's warm. I wanted to wait till after it was out of the oil to put the ranch dressing directly on the chicken. That way we would really get all the good flavor from the ranch. After the chicken is thoroughly coated in the ranch, you just want to set that aside, and I'm going to begin working on some cheese. Now I had this braid of mozzarella that was in some pesto and oil. I chopped that all up, and now I'm going to prepare my flatbreads. These were a package of 6 flatbreads that I got just like this from Aldi. I had used one of them for a sandwich, and I just wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with the rest, and I just decided on this. I thought, this would make a good little pizza crust, and why not just experiment and come up with something a little bit out of the ordinary for pizza with the chicken bacon ranch. And so I am just breaking these in half, putting them on my baking mat. I just recently got a package of 4 of these at Costco, and I'm really loving those. So these are all spread out now, and I'm going to start topping them. And for my sauce, I am using a creamy Alfredo. This is by Classico. I'm not a big fan of jarred Alfredo sauces. I love the homemade better, but if I'm going to use one, this Classico is really, really good. So I'm just going to use this as my sauce to put on my pizza crust to get started. All right, and next comes the chicken. So we're just gonna put an equal amount, or as good as we can here, of the chicken on each of the crust. I love the fresh balls of mozzarella that you can get and slice up to put on pizza. I don't know, it just kind of takes it over the top. So I didn't have a whole lot left on this one. Like I said earlier, it was the braid that was in pesto and olive oil. It was really, really good. We were snacking on that with some salami. But what I had left, I decided to use here for this pizza. So I just kind of put a little equal amount here and there on each piece. Make sure each piece got some. And then I'm just going to use shredded bagged mozzarella that I already had to just kind of top it off, because a lot of cheese on pizza is always a good thing. And then bacon goes on the top. So that was our bacon we fried up. We've got it all crumbled up. I actually kind of sliced it up with my clipped it up with my kitchen scissors. And same here, just put equal amounts of bacon as best I can on each of the little pizzas. then to go along with it, I just made us a salad. It's got all sorts of yummy stuff on it. Some blue cheese on top, some boiled egg. It was just a really, really yummy salad with a lot of good things in it. And topping it off with some honey mustard dressing and some black pepper. Those are always crowd pleasers around here. And then we love these French fried onions along with croutons as the crunchy topping. And would you look at these right out of the oven? These were so good, so good. If you can come up with a way to duplicate this, if you can't find the flatbreads, just use something else as a piece of crust, but do the chicken bacon ranch. It is really tasty. We loved this meal. It was kind of light. It was just something different and very, very good, very flavorful. So this was a thumbs up from both of us. Guys, I am making a dessert called strawberry pretzel salad. It's been around a good while. Probably you've made it or seen it. If not, you should add this to your list of desserts for warm months because it's so refreshing. So I've got 2 cups of water boiling, and then I have 2 of these 3-ounce boxes of strawberry jello. I'm using the sugar-free. And so once your water boils, you dissolve this in there. And then you add in some frozen strawberries. So I'm gonna put this in and then I'll add in my strawberries and I will show you. All right, Jello is in. And with Jello, if you've never made it before, you wanna make sure you stir it sufficiently so it doesn't clump up. You don't wanna get to the bottom of your Jello, especially if you're just making a bowl of Jello, which we're not here, but if you get to the bottom and it's not been stirred, as long as it should be, it will have like a thick sort of, I don't know, hard piece of Jello. If you've made Jello before, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's keep on working on it. While my Jello is dissolving, I'll show you the crust. I made this earlier and it's cooled down. It's 2 cups of pretzels, crushed or broken up, chopped, however. You can make them the consistency you want them to be. And it is a stick and a half of butter and 3 tablespoons of sugar. I will have this recipe linked below, so no worries, just scroll down to the description box and you will find the recipe. So this has to be baked for about 10 minutes and then cooled. And then the layer on top of that is 1 block of softened cream cheese, 1 cup of sugar, and an 8-ounce tub of Cool Whip, whip topping, whatever you have. So this gets mixed together first, and then you just gently fold in the Cool Whip, and that's gonna go on top. So while my Jello is still dissolving, I'm gonna start working on the cream cheese mixture. All right, next you're gonna add in this big tub of sliced strawberries with sugar, and these are frozen strawberries, that's what you need. This is a 23-ounce, I think it calls for around about that size. This is what I'm going to be using. So you want to just put this down in the Jello mixture while it's hot, and that will cause this to start breaking apart a little bit. And so this kind of makes a, you know, like a Jello type of consistency when you pour it on top, and you put it in your fridge, of course, to set completely. So let me get this in here and let it start doing its thing. All right, check this out. Let me stir it up a minute here and show you. Got this thick strawberry syrupy goodness. And so you just kind of want to break down your frozen pieces, and the hot boiling water that you put your Jello in will really do its job and help this to break down. So I'm going to leave it just a little bit longer before I pour it on top. It's getting really close though. You just don't want any frozen chunks in there, big chunks. So it's looking like it's just about where it needs to be. Yeah, there's a little bit here and there that's still kind of breaking down, and then we're going to pour it over top. Okay, here it is. Look at the layers. That's always fun to see in a dessert like this. So the recipe says, and it's probably a good way to think of it, you want this mixture here to be about the consistency of like egg whites. So you want it to be starting to set just a little bit. You want everything definitely to be not frozen chunks. And then that's when you kind of know it's time to go ahead and pour on. And so it's already kind of like, watch, when I shake it, you know, it's kind of jiggly, it's setting up. So I'm gonna get this in the refrigerator. And so I'd say, you know, give yourself a couple hours to have this in the fridge before you need to serve it. So this is probably gonna be something that I've made this in years past many times, but you know how it is, you forget about recipes or get on a kick of making something else. But I'd say this will be one that I will make these next couple of months while it's warm outside. This will be a great one to have as a cool, refreshing dessert. All right, I'm gonna link the recipe below. Well, thanks as always for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this What's for Dinner video. I hope you got tons of inspiration in case you're stuck in a rut and trying to figure out some new things to put into your menu. I hope this helped you out. And if you want something yummy to make throughout the summer months, I think the strawberry pretzel dessert is probably going to be a winner. All right, give this a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all next week with another brand new What's for Dinner. Bye-bye.